and welcome to a brand new episode of the Five Heart Podcast, brought to you by CornNation.com, part of the SB Nation Podcast Network, live wherever it is you're joining us tonight on the 21st day of December, the first day of winter, and boy howdy does it feel like it across much of the Midwest. That's right, this is your meteorological, easy for me to say, podcast. I'm Greg Mahochko. Joining me, our founder and fearless leader of CornNation.com, Mr. John Dam Johnston. John, first of all, I'm just so glad that you made it home safe from the anus of Nebraska, Curtis.
What the hell? I am sending people after you. I don't have to send people after you. They will be coming after you.
Well, that's fine. I just sent out Christmas cards today, which, the 21st is a good day to get Christmas cards out. So return address is on them. So if one of your people received a card, they know exactly where to find me. But I am glad to see that you made it home safely. So thank you for being with us, sir.
So am I. It was, it was uneventful. It was just
cold. Good.
It wasn't icy. It wasn't terribly windy. That was all today, I guess. I don't know. Snowed all day. It's going to become death-defying temperatures of doom across the Midwest.
And we're joined this week by someone who really has no idea how much of a frigid bitch the Midwest can be. And that is our Corn Nation recruiting writer, Akelo Roberts. Akelo, welcome back to the Five Heart Podcast, but in your debut here on the live version.
Hey, man, it feels so great to be back, man. I feel I'm on hollow ground right now, man. You know, I feel like when people visit the Pearl Harbor site, I don't say like it's like a tragedy. Like people feel like damn, I'm just coming fresh right now. That's how I feel right now.
I'd feel better if we could see the top half of your face, honestly. That's all right. We're in a bit of a learning. There we go.
We always are.
As I mentioned, 12/21/22. We're a few days out of Christmas. By the time people will be hearing this podcast version, if they don't tune in to the live version on, and again, YouTube, Facebook, I think Twitter, mostly we see the comments coming from YouTube and Facebook, but they'll be listening to the podcast version Friday morning. Today's National Signing Day, at least, under the new calendar, I suppose, with the early signing day, which replaced the first Wednesday of February. It's now the main day. I don't think there's really any disputing that. And since Matt Rhule and his staff that he has really been continuing to build since the end of the season, just a few weeks, really. They've been building a staff and then going out and getting guys that they want, which is what we're going to talk about tonight, which is the signing class for the Nebraska Cornhuskers. Again, the early signing day, December 2022. And I was watching, I picked up some videos here and there. I guess maybe let's talk about the perhaps biggest in-state name, because he was a commit under, Mickey Joseph and a previous staff, and then he decommitted when things went down, just prior to Thanksgiving. Malachi Coleman, I guess, re-upped his commitment, doubled down, if you will. Akelo, did that surprise you in any way that he was, staying home?
Actually, it did a lot. It did a lot. During his recruitment, obviously. So his recruitment was kind of weird to me. There were rumors he was going to visit Oklahoma. That fell through. He's supposed to visit Miami. That fell through. He's supposed to visit Ole Miss. That fell through. I had me wondering, what's going on with this guy? Last week he visited Colorado. Which they just hired Coach Prime, Deion Sanders. A lot of star-set guys there. Kids are posing next to Lamborghinis and all this type of stuff. Malachi, he seems like a guy. He seems like a kid that loves the panache, that loves the lights, cameras, and action. He loves that kind of stuff. So honestly, going into the today, I thought he was all Colorado. I was actually really shocked when he chose Nebraska. It's funny, man. Nebraska fans over the weekend when they looked like he was leading Colorado, they were like, he's overrated anyway. He sucks. He's overrated. And he signs to Nebraska. Everybody's happy. And it's all cupcakes and roses. That was very hilarious to me. But I'm really excited, man. I think he on field wise, he's a pretty good player. He can get better, but you can't teach being 6'5" with a 10-400 meter. Like that's reachability right there. 41-inch vertical. Like, come on, man. This kid literally has the same exact athletic traits as Calvin Johnson. If I want to go that route, will he be the same player? Who knows? Who knows? But he's that type of athlete. I'm so jacked to have him. I'm really so excited.
Wait a minute. What is Malachi Coleman supposed to be?
An athlete.
Oh well, yeah, athlete. But
I thought he was a defensive tackle.
Nah, he played receiver and DN at Lincoln East. But he was recruited. Actually, it's crazy. Michigan was recruiting him at defensive end. That's probably why he didn't go to Michigan. But he's going to be receiver at Nebraska.
Hey, I want to talk because you mentioned and I love. First of all, as far as Husker fans go, there are the people who helped me become a Husker fan. Like I talk about, like friend of the show Josh, and people that I met when I was just wandering in the desert of college football, so to speak, almost 20 years ago. And I met these guys from Western Nebraska, met them up in Chadron, and they took me in and kind of taught me the ways. So that's like my initial I guess sphere of influence. Obviously, everybody at Corn Nation, the people that I keep in almost daily contact with, and then it's the weekly people here on the show. Outside of those groups of people, we are a very fickle fan base. And you mentioned, when you talk about players decommitting, and then in a situation like Malachi decommitting, and then coming back, and just the the way you summed it up, I think perfectly. But it's not just Nebraska fans. I'll say that it's everybody. It's it's every fan base. I was just today, I guess there was a kid from Iowa who had been stringing in Hawkeye fans' words, stringing along the Iowa team, and then he signed with Alabama. And like, oh, you can't, you'll never represent this state. First of all, okay, I mean, you got the Field of Dreams, and that's about it for Iowa, and there's really nothing else there. But every fan base has that, that great shunning, when a player or a coach leaves a program, or in the case of like Malachi, at least initially decommitted, and then it's like they turn their backs, and the great shunning, and speaking lesser of them to make themselves feel better about that. And I never understood that. I think Todd on John and Todd's Monday Night Therapy summed it up best. So like, if you are at Nebraska and then you enter the transfer portal and you go somewhere else, okay. Or if you're a Nebraska prospect, a target, and you choose, okay. I don't ever have to wish you the best of luck, down the road. No, just be like, all right, go play. And I think he was probably, John, correct me if I'm wrong, Todd was talking about like Lexi Sun and and the young ladies who went to play for Texas for volleyball. But every fan base has that group that as soon as a player does something that displeases them, they are, it's like, oh, you're dead to me, and you're worthless, and you're garbage, and you'll never make it. It's a shame that a young guy like Malachi had to see both. Very quickly, in a very condensed period of time, had to see both ends of that spectrum of our fan base.
Yeah, that's who we are. I think recruiting is kind of bizarre as it is. I mean, everybody's stalking 17 and 18-year-old kids. Sometimes they stalk 8th graders, boys, little boys, and it's just bizarre to me. But I mean, who was Akelo? Do you remember that guy's name? He was a 5-star lineman. He was going to go to Iowa, and then he switched to Alabama at the last minute. And whole guy, it was Cade Chowder, some damn thing. I just had this up.
From Iowa.
Yeah, he was from Iowa.
Okay. I don't. So
Caden Proctor.
There you go.
Yeah.
Wait, that was today. Yeah.
I was prepared for all of this, and then my wife started watching a really special Christmas movie with Kurt Russell, and I got sucked into it, and it was really kind of bizarre.
Was it Christmas Chronicles, John?
Yes, it was Christmas Chronicles. It looked like recruiting, just the dumbest thing ever. And then here I am, sucked into it, and I'm like, oh, the fate of these children. Anyway,
just wait till Christmas Chronicles 2.
No.
All right, so Malachi is and let's talk about some of the other. I guess let's stay in state for now and talk about some of these other guys who are going to be staying, and perhaps the biggest one, because we just saw how heralded he was a couple of weeks ago in the state championships, is the first 5-star kicker I've ever heard of. But what is it? Is it Westside?
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Thank you. I can't remember his name, but I know I got the school. Tristan?
Yep, Tristan Alvano.
Yeah, you know what? 2 out of 3, I'll take it.
Yeah.
Is he really that good?
To make those kicks he made in crunch time in Memorial Stadium, yeah, he's very good. But the thing is, though, you're talking about you haven't seen a lot of 5-star kickers. He's a 5-star kicker it's not according to any real Rivals 247. He's a 5-star kicker according to ColesKickingCamp.com. They rank all the kickers nationwide. I mean, there have been a few 5-star kickers. But honestly, none of them really. Obviously everyone needs a good kicker, but I would really take too much ranking, because kickers are a crapshoot. I mean, every Nebraska fan remembers Barrett Pickering. So I would say kickers are a crapshoot. But no, he's really good. I mean, knocking down 50-yard field goals in the snow in a state championship, that's immaculate right there. I think go ahead.
I was gonna say, is it too early to call him the second coming of Alex Henry?
Hey, you never know, man. You never know that. Hopefully we can see the other 2008 Colorado type game in Memorial Stadium one day. But right now I think that's a little too much hype too early. But I think he has to be a great kicker. If he has a Drew Brown type career, I'll be more than
John?
Yes?
I thought you'd, pull another Nebraska kid's name up and be ready to go. Are you expecting me to do all the work?
Kicker. He's a kicker. Yeah, I am expecting. Here's the thing. He's a kicker. I mean, I like the fact that we got a highly ranked kicker, but, I think I was going to ask Akelo and you, Greg, would this class have been a bust? And I guess I'm going to ask the people that are on the chat. Would this class have been a complete bust if we wouldn't have gotten Malachi Coleman to stay at Nebraska?
You want me to go first?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. I tweeted this 2 days ago when they were posting pictures of Malachi as OV in Boulder. I said this, and I quote, "No one man is above the program." That's my exact feelings on that whole situation. Malachi is a great player, but Malachi is a great player, but hey, Nebraska missed out on Harrison Phillips, and no offense. I didn't lose sleep over it. I mean, it would have been great to have those guys there, but what can you do? The show must go on.
I agree, and I know that's not what coaches probably say when they're in players' homes and what they're saying to players on visit. I'm sure to an extent they're saying you know what, we're starting this thing from scratch, and you're the cornerstone, and it's I'm sure that they're feeding egos to an extent, but I always go back to another Kurt Russell movie, John, Miracle, where he is Herb Brooks. It says the name on the front of the jersey is a hell of a lot more important than the name on the back. So yeah, I mean to echo Akelo, what you said, it's one guy a program does not make. It's going to take a team to get this program to rise like the phoenix out of the ashes. There you go, John. How's something artistic and poetic for you?
Yeah, okay. The other thing people don't know. Well, let's move on. Akelo, who are the? Name three of these guys that were your guys. Three guys that were your guys.
In the class?
Yeah, I mean guys that you wanted that we got, because I guess I don't think Nebraska missed a lot, did we?
Oh, no, not really. So I'm gonna name all three. I'm gonna go into each player and tell you why.
Okay.
Okay, so boom, number one, Dwight Boodle II, defensive back, Miami Palmetto. Number two, boom, Ramir Stewart, safety, Imhotep Institute Charter, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Boom. Number three, Jalen Lloyd, athlete, Omaha Westside High School. Now, I'm gonna go into those three right there. So first off, Dwight, or Deuce. Everyone calls him Deuce. Even his Instagram page is called Deuces. Deuce. Going into Deuce, man. Like, it's one thing watching film. When you actually see a player in person, in actual game, that's when you know things are better. So I'm gonna tell you right now. So you guys know how loaded South Florida is, right? So I'm going to it. In South Florida, in this year alone, we have five 5-star wide receivers. Jeremiah Smith, Josiah Trader, Brandon Ennis, Hakeem Williams, and what's the other dude name? Jalen Brown. The first two are 2024 kids. They're not going anywhere. Ennis is going to Ohio State. Williams is going to Florida State. Brown is going to LSU. I watch Deuce shut down every single one of these players. Even in a playoff game last year, when he was at Killian, they played Stranahan, which is the school that Hakeem Williams plays for. They played them first round in playoffs. Hakeem Williams didn't catch one pass, and he was the whole focal point of the offense. Going from there, Deuce plays for one of the most iconic 7-on-7 football teams in the country, South Florida Express. They travel all across the country. They go into Ellis, going to Louisiana, Texas, California, playing kids all around the country. He shut down receiver on top of receiver every week. This kid's amazing. My only reason I can think of why, the only reason I know why he hasn't been rated as he should, is he's listed as 5'11", 175. But if you see him in person, he's closer to like 5'9", 5'10"-ish. And like school is kind of iffy. Second, so I went on Deuce. Number two, Ramir Stewart. So Ramir Stewart, safety from Philadelphia. So I remember a few years ago, because I've been in recruiting a long time. Because I don't want to brag, but I've had a few relatives go D1. So I've been in recruiting for a minute. I remember a few years ago, I was watching highlights of a kid from New Jersey. He was literally the same size, playing on the same exact competition, playing in the same region, and he was doing exactly things that Ramir was doing. The kid's name was Jabril Peppers. Jabril Peppers found Michigan, and Jabril Peppers was one of the best defensive players in college football. I think Ramir has that type of upside. Like, that guy, he's just a freak. Like, one-arm picks, like ODB, just great coverage. As like he's a total package as a safety. Why he was over recruited? The same reason why Boodles why he was under recruited. I mean, the same reason Boodles under recruited. He's listed at 6 foot 185. Schools are a little iffy on that size. He might be like more like 5'10", 5'11". Safeties, schools like safeties in that 6'1" to 6'3" range usually. So that could have been a reason why he was under recruited. Before Nebraska, the only OV he took was actually to Jackson State. which is ironic that Coach Prime is at Colorado now. That's who recruited at Texas as well. And that's why I think he's under recruited. The last guy I said Jalen Lloyd, the receiver from Omaha West Side. So class of 2016. There was a little guy. He was a little receiver. He impressed me a lot when I was looking at his film. I remember the kid ended up coming to Nebraska, and he did great things. That kid's name was J.D. Spielman. Watching Jalen Lloyd's film, he's like a J.D. Spielman clone, except that he's faster than J.D., which is crazy because J.D. was a legit 4.4 guy. I mean, Jalen Lloyd. If Jalen Lloyd, real talk, Jalen Lloyd, this is a kid that actually has an Olympic future on the track, but he chose to play football. Like this kid just speed in literal form. Honestly, looking at his film, I know people are talking about Benny Nagoye, who signed with Iowa State today foolishly. They were talking about Malachi Coleman. I'm not gonna lie, man. Jalen Lloyd might be the best receiver in the state. Actually, not might be. In my opinion, he is the best receiver in the state. That was a bigger win than Malachi Coleman, than Benny Nagoye, than whoever you want to put in there. I think Jalen Lloyd is the best receiver, and he's one of the best receivers in the Midwest, in my opinion. And that was just a great pick, in my opinion. I know a month ago he said that he was actually going to go to Florida for track. He's going to run track for the Gators. But Matt Rhule came in and immediately started recruiting him. That's at that point that's when I realized, yeah, Matt Rhule's a guy. Like he's going to do great things in Lincoln. And yeah, those are my three guys right there, man. I'm more than happy to put down.
I have one question, but it works for two of the three names that you just said in Lloyd and Boodle. Both of them had relatives who played at Nebraska. Now, Boodle, I believe, brother, right? DiCaprio?
Yep.
So, and then Lloyd, his mom ran track, and according to the terrific write-up at cornnation.com, she was an 9-time All-American for Nebraska. How much does, honestly, and I guess this is more opinion, how much does like family, I don't want to say pressure, but family experiences, family conversation, how much does that play in a player's decision making process? And I don't know if mom holds any more sway than a brother, because brother knows he's like, I went to Nebraska and I played football and I did that just a few years ago, whereas mom ran track and it's been arguably a couple several years ago. So we're not exactly comparing apples and apples, but how much does again all speculation, I suppose, but how much does like a family member, their experience, how much does that play into a young kid's decision making?
I think it plays a great amount. Talking to Deuce, it obviously that legacy factor was always there. That's actually part of the reason why he committed. Actually, on top of the fit, like it was just like the love he was getting from the staff, the old staff, Coach Frost and them, even the new staff. And when Coach Rhule got hired, Coach Evan Cooper, the new DB coach, he came in and they just hit it off right away. So that's kind of the reason why he stayed. But he was telling me like, obviously like going into his home, like his house is like a Nebraska shrine in South Florida. In South Florida, where everyone is where everyone is either a UM or a FSU fan or a Gator fan. He chose to be Nebraska. He chose to be Nebraska and chose to play for Nebraska, and that was really big to him. Jalen Lloyd, I would say, like I said, man, I think it's a case by case. I think it's a case by case basis. Jalen Lloyd was going to run track at Florida, but Matt Rhule came in and recruited him great. Like I said, I think it's a case by case basis, really, man. But sometimes it works better than others. Yeah, I could definitely say that.
Yeah, sorry. I've been coughing a lot, so I've been muting myself. Have you watched a lot of film on the guys in our class? Did you watch, very specifically, did you watch Quentin Ives, the guy that didn't have any rating and just came out of nowhere? And you're like, well, who the frick is this guy? And they got him. He's, what is it, Palmyra, New Jersey. Did you watch his film?
Actually, I did a lot. ironically, his film reminded me a lot of Maurice Washington's film actually.
Really?
Him and Maurice have similar frames. He's actually a little taller and a little more skinnier. It's kind of crazy because Maurice is pretty skinny. But they have pretty much identical frame. Like Quentin Ives is a touchdown waiting to happen. Maurice played a little better competition down in Texas and California. Quentin Ives played like small school New Jersey ball. But I definitely his film definitely popped for me. I think he has great potential in Nebraska.
Okay. I don't watch a lot, but he outran everybody, and then when he needed to, he ran over people. And I just how did this kid, not anybody rate him, not anybody, I mean, not any rating, you know what I mean? How did that happen?
Honestly, man, I really don't know, man. Sometimes kids just slip through the crack. What's funny? I was looking at kids that went to a school. Someone that went to a school was a kid named Kelvin Harmon. He played receiver at NC State a few years ago. Excuse me, at NC State a few years ago, and he was one of the best receivers in the ACC. So Palmyra plays pretty good competition. But I really don't know how he slipped through the cracks, man. But yeah, I think he's just a great find, man. I'm really excited to have him.
I heard a lot of the things that you mentioned about Ramir Stewart. Somebody I know was like, if we're going to get a secondary player, that guy has to be in there. Let's see. How about any of the big guys? Not the Nebraska big guys, but let's go with the Nebraska big guys. Was there any of the big guys, the offensive linemen that we took, did any of them strike to you? Anything stand out?
Yeah, man. They all have ideal Big Ten offensive lineman size. They all play with that good aggression. You feel me? I think offensive linemen are always a project. Like there's no such thing as a plug and play offensive lineman. They're always a project. So I think they're 2023. I think by 2025, a few of them are going to be stars in the O-line doing really good, and I'm really excited to have them.
And then what about the edge guys?
Prince.
Okay, Prince will pronounce his last name.
Umanmielen.
Say it again.
Umanmielen.
Umanmielen.
Yeah.
Umanmielen.
All right.
Okay,
the question is that easier or more difficult than Prince Amukamara? This is not our first Prince.
We got used to Prince Amukamara. I mean, it took everybody a long time.
We'll get used to Prince Will. His last name.
Hey, man.
What'd you think of that guy?
I think he's a great player, man. It's funny. In the write up, I wrote about him. I said I noticed an extremely lazy competition, like lazy comparison. But his film and his size remind me like literally identically of O'Shawn Mathis. Not just because they're from the same high school, but like look at the film, like they're really that type of player. I mean, his get off the line is downright freakish. Like his burst off the snap is crazy. I'm really excited to have him. Defensive linemen, like offensive linemen, they're always a project. There's very rarely you have like a plug and play defensive lineman. They're always a project because he's 225. Big Ten defensive end, you gotta be like 260, 270. So it's gonna take him some time to get physically up to snuff. But boy, when he's up to snuff, it's gonna be amazing. It's gonna be beautiful. I'm really excited to have him.
Okay, Jason, how do you pronounce his last name? The 6'4", 320-pound guy from Pierre, South Dakota. Jason,
yeah, you better not get that
what
wrong.
Is it?
Oh God. Wait. I saw a pronunciation earlier. Can you spell it again for me?
Oh my God! I just Maciczak.
Okay, yeah, I remember now. It's Maciczak.
Maciczak.
Bless you. Gesundheit.
Oh my God! You got that. You know what? Now that you say that like that, I get where you get that. Maciczak. Like a sneeze. We're going to have to come up with nicknames for these guys. No, either that or just learn how to pronounce their names. And then What'd you think of him?
I think he's a great player, man. So I'm going to put it in perspective. There was an offensive lineman from Norfolk, I think Norfolk Catholic, I think. He was committed to North Dakota State. Iowa flipped him. His name is his name is Cade Piper. He's going. That's Iowa State. I mean Iowa. Iowa flipped him. He's going. He's going to Iowa. His name is Cade Piper. I look at him and I look at Machichak. And we flip Machichak from North Dakota. When it comes to who got the better FCS flip, I definitely think Nebraska won that end of the bargain. I think Machichak comes in like physically like well put together. He's already listed at 6'4", 320, but that's perfect, like Big Ten left guard size. So I'm really excited to have him. Like I said with the Nebraska guys, they're 2023. By 2025, I think he's going to be playing a really good role for us. Offensive lineman always project, so he's not going to say immediately, but I'm really excited to have him.
I want to interject a name here because if I'm doing the math right, and Lord forgive me if I'm not, but there's a chance that Matt Rhule also recruited this player to Baylor. It's a transfer portal acquisition. Joshua Fleeks, wide receiver, is that? He's from 2018 and doing the very minimal amount of research that I'm doing. Rhule was there. So is this a guy that he liked enough that he recruited him twice?
Yeah, I'll say a coach there is going to recruit the guys in the portal has the guys they know well. Also, I will say this: if you look at Nebraska's receiver numbers going into 2023, they're kind of low as far as like guys that are proven. So I think obviously you want to take a guy like this every time. Obviously, they recruited him. They know he was there for their last 2 years at Baylor, so they know what type of player he is. They know his habits, all type of stuff like that. Watching his film, he's a great athlete, both in high school and in college. He's a great athlete. He's a great boost to the receiver room. And I'm really excited to have him. He can play a little running back as well, and I'm just excited to have him. Josh Fleeks.
Is he the guy that Casey Thompson is going to hit on the fly and just destroy everybody?
Honestly, that could be him. That could be as well as freshman. That could be Jalen Lloyd or Malachi Coleman. They're both the type of athlete. But Fleeks is a fast guy as well. But he could do that. But as far as like that deep threat like Trey Palmer was, where we knew Trey was going to score a touchdown at any given moment, I'm not sure he's going to be that type of player, but he's going to be a very good player for us.
I guess that brings in a new, whole perhaps awkward or uncomfortable conversation, because they also landed a commit from a transfer portal quarterback in the QB from Georgia Tech.
Yeah.
And I think the joke was made again Monday night as I was listening to it Tuesday morning that we have 43 quarterbacks and 4 offensive linemen. And with Casey Thompson, I was thinking about this as I was listening to yours and Todd's show. With Casey Thompson on the shelf for the spring, with a new coaching staff and a new system, it's going to give anybody else, right, an advantage in marking themselves as QB1. And not knowing, like, we don't know, like, there's a specific window, right, for entering the transfer portal, because we've got so many QBs who haven't seen the field or have seen the field very limited, and we're bringing more quarterbacks in, and we're still, correct me if I'm wrong, I may have missed it, did Dylan Raiola announce a decision yet?
He's next year.
Okay, so I'm a year away.
If he did, he didn't tell anybody because he doesn't have to.
Right, he doesn't have to. But okay, I didn't realize we were a year out from that one. That's how close I follow high school football players. That's a weird.
I think the key with bringing Jeff Sims in and Josh Fleeks, quite frankly, is they both have produced. You know what I mean? They both played. They both played Division I ball. They both made production. They both produced numbers. So they're kind of, maybe not for Nebraska, but they're known quantities, right? You can put them on the field. You've seen their film. You spend time with them. You teach them what you want to do. And you kind of probably know a little bit more about what you're going to get. Whereas, Matt Masker, Heinrich Harburg, Logan Smothers really didn't get to play a lot. Chubba Birdie got to play some. None of our quarterbacks that we have really played a lot of football. So, it makes sense to me that they would bring in another transfer portal guy from the quarterback. It'll be shocking to see if all of these guys actually stay on the roster into fall, but for right now they're there. So, maybe Logan Smothers just wants to put it this way. Logan Smothers is on scholarship. If Logan Smothers enters the transfer portal, does he get another scholarship? Or does he have to pay for school somewhere? Because,
right.
I'd like somebody to pay for my school if I was a young man of 19, 20 years old, because it's damned expensive. So, same with Heinrich Harburg, really hasn't seen the field at all, and he looks like a guy who could be a NFL prospect when we first heard of him, and then he hasn't gotten to play at all. So
he's it, and look, I say this purely for I have to throw a disclaimer up because he's a Nebraska guy, and I'm definitely not trying to offend anyone, but he looks like he could be an NFL prospect or the assistant manager at the Ace Hardware. I say that purely for entertainment, So I wanted to. We've been highlighting some comments as we go on, and I actually pulled up some numbers. But Joel Tilson asked, "What is the rating for this recruiting class?" Joel, I have some of those numbers. And I'm only assuming that they're updated. The transfer rank is 7, and the overall rank is 32, which leads into my next pinned comment from Stephanie. She said, "Impressive transition class. Rhule put that together quick." And I know you equated Malachi Coleman to a Megatron to Calvin Johnson. She says Coleman's Randy Moss. Any thoughts on that comparison? I would say, and this is no disrespect to Randy Moss. Obviously, he put it together a tremendous career, but I think Coleman's got a little bit more bulk on him, does he not? I mean, Randy Moss was. I think correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not. I don't. It's been a long time since I watched a Randy Moss game, but he was like a stick, wasn't he? He was just long and good hands and not untalented. I'm not trying to take anything away from his attributes, but he was just a playmaker of a different caliber. But I just remember him just being very long, tall, and lean. Am I incorrect? Somebody shut me up.
Actually, yeah, you were. You were correct. He was pretty lean. But I think to be an NFL player at the level he was, you gotta have a little muscle on you. So I would he wasn't a stick, but he wasn't David Boston either.
Yeah. This is the guy I thought was a defensive lineman, for God's sakes. Now you're calling him Randy Moss. Man, my brain blew. I got him completely wrong. What the hell was I thinking about?
Yeah.
Well, and I like Stephanie's just phrasing, transition class. This is a coaching staff that came in really at the 11th hour of the recruiting cycle, and without a full year to put together, their recruiting board and their list of targets of prospects. They're going out and essentially cobbling together the best of what's left. I mean, how if you're Matt Rhule and company, how do you go into a house, where they might be like, where's Nebraska? That type of, if it's not on the radar, and let's be frank, Nebraska football has not been on anybody's radar in some time except to, laugh at it. And I'm not saying that, in an overly negative or cynical or pessimistic way. That's just the reality of it. So how did this coaching staff go in and put together the class that they did? I mean, they're after the signing day, they're a top 32 class, I think is the number I said, right? That's very impressive given the finite amount of time that they had to work with.
Hey man, all all this talk about transition classes. I remember Scott Frost's first class. It looked so great on paper. Half of those guys stunk. The other guys caught criminal cases. And the other guys transferred. So transition classes. I mean, it's cool, but we need who cares about transition class? We need some players. As far as what's the question? I'm sorry, man. I want to.
No, that's okay. It was how did Coach Rhule and his staff with such a limited time that they had to work with put together this, I think what we can all call really an impressive class, again given the month that they had to work with.
Oh yeah, great. Oh yeah. About that, Coach Rhule, obviously when he's brought in, like I've been saying in every article I write, Coach Rhule is a guy. He prioritizes athleticism and frames over rankings. So he's gonna recruit some guys that may not be world beaters on the trail, but they're athletic freaks. Like the athlete from Texas, Bryce Turner, he was on nobody's radar. 10, 2, 5, and 100 meter, that's uncoachable. You can't coach that type of speed. So that was a great pick. Some other guys, he landed some guys that are a little under recruited. And then he held on to some guys in the class that had been recruited by the previous staff. And I really wish that I was really happy that he kept on to. For the most part, I think that he did a great job. He fired off on all cylinders that he needed to. And I'm really excited. I think he just did a great job as a whole.
Can I ask transfers?
Oh, what about him?
Okay, we got Chief Borders, linebacker from Florida. We got Corey Collier, safety from Florida. Elijah Judy, defensive lineman from Texas A&M. Those three guys, highly recruited when they first chose their schools, highly ranked, highly sought after. But all three of those players I don't think have really played a lot for their respective teams before. They mostly have spent their time on special teams, especially Collier and Borders. Do we really expect them to contribute at Nebraska, or are they just, what's the deal with those guys?
Yeah, I think you can expect them to produce at Nebraska simply because we don't have the same talent as Florida and Texas A&M do. So there's gonna be way more playing time for them.
Whoa! Hold on.
Wait, that's the truth. That's what we say.
Hold on. You twist that knife a little bit more, man.
Hey, that's true. What you want me to say? But,
no, I know.
But I think they're going to produce just because of that. And also, you guys are good players. Coming out of the high school ranks. Chief Borders is everything you want as a defensive end. Elijah Judy as well. Corey Collier, I watched him in high school as well. He reminds me a lot of Markel Dismuke, who played safety for us last year. He's another type of guy. He just wants to take your head off every play. He's a real vicious hitter. He's a good coverage guy, and I foresee him playing that kind of role. But all three of those guys, I see them playing a good amount of minutes for us and next year for Nebraska.
Was it Chief who is from Chicago?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's originally from Chicago.
Okay.
But I think he moved to Georgia. He just played high school football in Georgia, something like that.
Gotcha. So the crap that we're about to experience in the next few days, or at least here in Illinois, with negative 20-degree wind chills and things like that, the things that Nebraska and Minnesota have been dealing with for a day or two already, it's not really going to be as impactful. By the way, I don't know if you know this, Akelo, but on the thermometer, on your external outdoor temperature thermometer, there is a space there for negative temperatures. I don't know if you've ever experienced that in sunny southern Florida.
No, man, no. Today was 82 degrees.
All right, that's enough. Thank you so much, Akelo, for joining us. And
are you kidding me? It was 82.
All right, so this is a hooded sweatshirt, and this is what I've been wearing all day, even in my house. It's cold, man. It's going to get colder.
Seems unfair.
It's not right. But you know what, John? We don't have hurricanes, so
exactly.
Take that, Florida. Yeah. We have hypothermia and frostbite.
I got my Christmas toothbrush.
Are you putting Santa in your mouth there?
It's just That's just weird. Okay, I'm gonna ignore you even said that. What the
You're
hell
welcome.
is that?
All right.
Can I take one of the? I marked some messages.
I did too, and I was going to actually highlight one.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, I'm going to. Longtime listener and several-time commenter Blaine Cole, who's a regular with us here, and on Mondays and Wednesday/Thursday night, says, generally speaking, do you believe the fans will have the patience for rebuilding and development, or does it even matter?
That's a question for me.
That's a question for anybody.
I mean, anybody.
I mean, what's more losing? We're used to losing. What's more losing?
Wow! You don't sugarcoat anything.
Hey,
That's it.
what's wrong with saying?
Yeah, I guess you can't really add more than that.
Man, what's wrong to say, bro? We've seen 6 seasons of mediocrity. What's wrong to say?
It's a valid point, and we continue to say, every month, a year ago we were talking about, have we reached rock bottom? Have we reached rock bottom? And I continue to say, yeah, it's only up from here. And then our coach gets fired after the 3rd game because of reasons. So it's you're right. We're used to losing. We don't like it, but we also can't be impatient about getting things turned around at this point.
I'm going to dovetail this with another one that I selected.
Okay.
Okay. Lloyd M. Christmas says, John, what do you think about retaining Raiola for the O-line? Do you think his nephew had anything to do with the rehire? No, I don't think his nephew has anything to do with the rehire. I really don't. I don't think you hire a coach based on the... Put it this way. I don't think you hire a coach and ask your other coaches to make up for a guy that isn't that good at coaching. Rhule explained this today and said that he was comfortable because Donovan Raiola. There's too many Raiolas. The Raiola we have for the offensive line coach has been taught the same way or understands the same system and understands what Rhule wants to do with the offensive line. He said he liked his energy, liked his vibe. I mean, I think when we originally talked about Raiola being retained, we were like, well, Rhule sees something in him that we don't. But along with that, I thought it was interesting that Rhule also said that he wasn't that concerned, that he looked at the offensive line guys and he liked the offensive linemen he has, which means that he believes that they can coach them up, that they can teach them, and that what was it? Did you guys read any of this stuff today? Where he said something about they were in the wrong offense or they weren't being,
I think
Akelo, you're shaking your head. What the hell is it? What do you got to say?
Man, I have no clue how you look at Bryce Benhart and say that's a reclaimable project. That guy stinks. But go ahead. What are you saying?
Well, that's just it. Do we have any offensive tackles on this team?
As far as besides that guy, we got Turner Corcoran. We got I really don't know, man.
Teddy
Prochaska should come back.
Yeah, you got him too. That's really all I know for real. But yeah, man, the O-line is such a disappointment, man. I don't know what to say about them, man. But
can we? I have, and maybe we don't know the exact answer to this question, and maybe it's a question that's better suited for other people of coordination. But we finished 4-8. How many games did the offensive line directly cost us last year?
Last year?
Yeah, I mean, let's go 2022.
I'm going to go to it. So Northwestern, they kind of did, kind of didn't, because Scott Frost made a stupid call there on the offensive. Georgia Southern, not really. That was just defensive failure right there. Oklahoma. I mean, they kind of did, but our whole team was outclassed. That doesn't really count.
Isn't that weird though that like they beat us and then they fell apart almost immediately after.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's what Nebraska does to teams.
I honestly think that for 2022, Nebraska football's mentality was, we're going down, but we're taking you with us.
Yeah. I think it's in the chart like this year where it said every team after they beat Nebraska, their next game was a loss.
I think so.
So
With maybe obviously with the exception of like Wisconsin or not Michigan.
Yeah, besides Michigan, I think Michigan was the only team, and I guess Iowa if they win a bowl game, but it was just those two. But yeah, as far as that,
I think they cost us every game.
Okay, and that's what it was a searching question, not a debating question, you know.
Yeah, honestly, go ahead, John.
If you have an offensive line, I mean, if we even had a serviceable offensive line, we would have been able to run the ball, and it would have changed every game we played in, except for maybe Michigan. I think Michigan is just an excellent team with players all over the field. But, I mean, Northwestern just ran the ball. Okay, so maybe I just shut up and go on.
Yeah,
It wasn't all the offensive line, but it you know what? It irritated me enough that it was all the offensive line. That was something the Rhule said today again, that he didn't think the offensive line was the cause of all the horrible things that happened last year, which, you know, realistically he's right, but we like to simplify things. So it was the offensive line. I'll just okay, you guys go on now.
Yeah, I believe. I tweeted this like last month sometime. Yeah, I tweeted this after we lost to Wisconsin last month. I said, man, if Nebraska's O-line was just average, not even good, just average 500, there's literally no way we wouldn't be in a bowl game. We just need the average O-line, and we would have been won at least 6 games. But no, these guys just like honestly. I was looking for PFF to find out. But, I honestly believe Nebraska might have one of the worst like FBS offensive lines of all time. Like last year was dreadful. Like those guys are horrible.
Let me offer a little bit of a, you know what they say, with age comes a little bit of wisdom, and I'm going to use a little bit of my wisdom to pass along to you. Don't look it up. You'll just be sad. Also, shout out to Blaine, who says that as a veteran of the submarine service, he can relate to my ship analogy. So, thank you, Blaine. Appreciate that as always, and all you fine commenters here. The comments have gone. I'm not going to say that they're all over the place. I did want to highlight Owens because you were talking about how it was in the 80s today. He says Lincoln will have -50 below wind chills tomorrow, and his supervisor told him that he'll pick him up and take him to work. He says, shake my head. I said, man, it's very nice of him to make sure you don't get an extra day off. He's I'll never forget my first winter in Northwest Nebraska. I was living in an apartment. It was a college town, so it was a house that was converted into 3 apartments, and I had one portion of it, and then college kids had other portions. I wasn't in college, I was 21, but I was working at the radio station, and it was March, and overnight from Sunday to Monday night, or Sunday night to Monday morning, we got 14 inches of snow, and I did not have a snow shovel. So I had to walk to work, and then after work, I walked to the Safeway, bought a snow shovel, and then spent 4 hours trying to dig my 1998 Ford Taurus out of the snow. And it was very cold. It was very uncomfortable. I hate winter. I hate it with a fiery passion. I will never live further north than where I do now, just for that reason alone. So, Owen, I'm there with you. Maybe not negative 50-degree wind chill, but if I was picking you up, man, I don't care. We'll make those coffees Irish, and we'll have a good time on the way into the office. So Joel asks, in regards to this recruiting class, which we know is number 32, is it the best Husker recruiting class since when?
On paper or in terms of production?
I guess we have to go by on paper.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm not even gonna lie. I think all Scott's classes were better than this class.
Yeah.
On paper.
On paper.
Yeah. Now, did those guys play good? Did they actually stay? Did they actually stay in Nebraska? That's a different question. But Scott Frost actually had some really good classes on paper. But
Yeah.
yeah,
That's
I mean,
fair.
let's take Wandale Robinson for an example. I mean, the guy came to Nebraska and he had to go somewhere else to make himself into an NFL player. That's just the reality of what an idiot that guy we fired was when it came
I'll,
to his offense and how
I'll
he
never
was gonna
forget.
utilize players.
Wasn't it Wandale's last touchdown as a Husker where it was like a little slant out of the backfield and he caught it and then got absolutely crushed in the end zone. And if I was him, I'd be like, why am I here again? It's not good for his longevity as a player. So
yep. Jet sweep against Rutgers. That was COVID year when the Big Ten said, okay, let's have championship games. The worst team in every in each division going to play each other. So because we sucked that year, we played Rutgers at home. And we played Rutgers on the road on a Friday, like 19-degree weather, and we barely beat a terrible Rutgers team. But that was definitely that. I remember he caught Wanda got the ball on the jet sweep. It was like 2 yard line. He got beheaded walking trying to get to the end zone. Thankfully he regained consciousness. But yeah, that probably wasn't a good memory for him because like a week later he entered the portal.
I just appreciate the way you said that. Thankfully, he regained consciousness. All right, so let's talk coaches. I think you mentioned earlier that at one point during this, the last few weeks, there was a really galvanizing moment that you're like, all right, Matt Rhule's the guy. I think there are some people who maybe wanted to embrace the chaos of a Deion Sanders hire, and then we see what's going on out in Boulder and the Lamborghinis and John, what's the name of that brand of bag?
Louis Sutton. I don't know. What do you want from me?
I don't know. Monday
buy
night
this stuff, for God's sake.
Monday night, I think you were calling it Louis Vuitton. I'm like, I know that's not.
Is that what it is?
It's
don't know.
Louis. It's Louis Vuitton. I'm sorry.
Close enough. God.
That'd be like saying, it's the St. Louis Blues or the St. Louis.
People would know what you're talking about.
Yeah, they would, but you're a special kind of special, John. So where this is a general question. Either of you can answer. Is it just me, or does it feel like Deion Sanders is sizzle and Matt Rhule is steak?
I think that's yet to be determined. I mean, I think that's the big thing with Colorado is we're going to see if Deion Sanders can coach at the Division I level and can bring in players that will play for him at the Division I level. I mean, let's face it, Deion, he has the name Primetime. He's a showman. He's flashy. Can he coach? That's the thing. I don't have anything against him. I hope, I kind of hope for Colorado's sake, even though I hated them for years, I don't want to see them just suffer.
Yes,
I'm
you
not
do.
as crabby
Don't lie.
and old as Todd is on Monday night, where he's like, screw all these people that don't play for us anymore. I mean, I hope for Colorado's sake he isn't a complete flameout, but all of this is yet to be determined. Are we supposed to speculate?
Yes.
Well, Deion Sanders won't make it through the next season, and Matt Rhule will be at Nebraska for 25 years and win 6 national titles by himself.
I like it.
How's that?
There you go.
How's that for just speculating?
Not only do I like it, but I think the people in the comments will like it. Folks who are hanging out with us tonight, a few nights before Christmas, if you like the idea of Matt Rhule being here for 20-plus years and 6 national championships, let us know. And then this is all about, going back to Monday night, expectations, John.
Yeah.
Now, what you gave us was speculation. We are much too early for predictions and things like that. But Akelo, where are you at on Deion Sanders as Power 5 head coach?
I think he's a really good figurehead. I think he's a really good mascot. Um, I do think that he's been making great hires for his assistant coaches. They got the head coach from Kent State to be his offensive coordinator. Kent State's offense is electric, and so I think that's really great hire for him. Even at Jackson State, his offensive coordinator, Bartolome, I don't know his last name. Bartolome, he ran a really good air raid offense, which is kind of why Deion Sanders' son, the quarterback, looks so good. Because honestly, he kind of sucks. But that's the reason he looks so good. So I think Deion has a really good eye for assistant coaches, and and obviously he has personality to where he's gonna bring some top recruits to Boulder. So I think he'll be okay.
I feel like, and I think maybe a year ago we, as Nebraska fans, were hoping that some of the coaching staff changes put Scott Frost in more of a figurehead position where all the decisions weren't falling directly on him, that he could trust those around him. And it sounded like that didn't last terribly long. So if how you kind of laid it out there as far as Deion or Coach Prime and the staff that he's built around, then going into Boulder and winning by 3-4 touchdowns may not be as easy as it seems. I think that who we got in the comments, it's Vince Watson says Deion's success could well ride on how set he is on his son being the quarterback. And that's boy, you don't want to go home to the dinner table after you've had to bench your son. That's a tough position to be in.
Why is Deion Sanders even a topic of conversation?
I wanted to bring it up.
No, I mean not here necessarily, but anywhere with Nebraska fans. What the hell are we doing? Nobody brings up Luke Fickell. That's the guy we have to beat. That's the guy that we have to beat every year from now on. And I have not seen a single Nebraska fan, except for maybe one of our guys on Slack, mention Luke Fickell at Wisconsin. Their class right now is sitting at, let's see, 11th in the Big Ten, 50th nationally. That's the guys that I would think that we'd be talking about.
Well, let's talk about their quarterback who just had jumped in the transfer portal and I think landed at Florida.
Yeah.
To a much wringing of hands by Florida fans. Like, they are not excited about Graham Mertz arriving down there. No, I'm curious. John, it's a good point. You're right, because we have to, I think, what is it, a home and home, a 2-year contract with Colorado, but it's, Luke Fickell and Wisconsin every year, for, in perpetuity. Well, I guess until they go pods and then Lord knows what the hell that will look like when the expansion continues. John, thank you for bringing Luke Fickell to the forefront of our conversation. What would you like to add about it?
The other one is Purdue. Purdue with they're 13th in the Big Ten and 63rd nationally. I mean, when you look at I'm looking at On3's ranking, which leads me to the question, Akelo, what do you think? Who does the best ranking? Like 247 rivals On3.
It used to be 247, but honestly, man, On3 is legit, man. I really like On3 a lot.
So you think that this new website that they're doing a really good job?
Yeah, because On3 is like a meeting of the minds between the top guys from Rivals and top guys from 247. They kind of branched out, did their own thing on On3.
Well,
there you go.
Shit.
That's just another thing you're going to have to pay for, John. All right.
Well, I am looking at their rankings. In the Big Ten, it goes Ohio State, Penn State ahead of Michigan. Michigan State ahead of us, Nebraska at 5th, Iowa at 6th, Northwestern 7th, Minnesota 8th, Illinois 9th, 10th Maryland, 11th Wisconsin, like I mentioned, 12th Rutgers, 13th Purdue, and then there's Indiana, who somehow retained Tom Allen.
I have no clue. That was not a winning move.
Yeah, I don't.
It's fine.
I guess they're. What? You want to watch something bizarre?
Do I, John? Are you going to show us?
Yeah.
I'm
See
scared.
this? You see this?
Yes.
It's a paper towel. She just. I don't know what the deal with the dog is, but come on. What the hell? She has this thing about eating my paper towels.
They smell like you.
Anyway, Indiana. I don't.
What breed is she?
She is a German Shepherd Lab mix. She's about 100 pounds. She's very, very big, and she's a very loving dog. She's very.
She
nice.
is.
She's just. I guess she's like a human. Everybody has a unique personality, but yeah, Indiana retained Tom Allen. I guess looking on paper at what we're doing here in Matt Rhule's first transition class, or first, his first shot, and we finish above the entire Big Ten West as it stands now. So, I don't know. I guess that, again, on paper, But again, Quentin, I'm going to go back to Quentin Ives. The guy didn't even have a ranking. That means that he pulls the entire class down, even though he might be a diamond in the rough, and he might be a really good player, because he certainly looks like he could be exciting. So, I would just go ahead and place this right up there next to Ohio State.
There you go. Maybe even ahead of him.
Vanessa, she gets treats, but the thing is I don't think the paper towels add to her weight, and we really have to watch her weight. Because if we feed her too many treats, then she turns into a pig.
I like Blaine's comment here because it harkens back to a television commercial from 30-ish years ago with bacon strips, and of course we all know dogs don't know it's not bacon, and Blaine says dogs don't know it's not a paper towel.
Well, especially when it has
flavor remnants.
Well, yeah, probably the scent of whatever I had for supper on it, because I eat at my desk like a guy that works all the time.
All right, so let's talk. Let's finish up here before it gets too late. We had this question earlier from Owen. Any thoughts on Matt Rhule's Cryptic 24-hour Twitter post? Yeah, basically what it was is it's a little Husker digital clock that looks like it's from the 90s or early 90s, late 80s, but it's doing a little 24 hours message. Any speculation, anything that either of you have heard? Any rumor, any innuendo, any idea at all?
Yeah, no, I heard you talking about Dylan Raiola, but then I saw someone saying he was talking about tight end or something. I wouldn't put too much stock in it, really. I'm more of a show me. Don't tell. I'm more of a show me. I'm not really idealistic. I'm more of a show me what it is type of guy.
Gotcha.
When it's here, I'll be excited. Until then, who cares?
Akelo's down. Akelo, since he's in South Florida, is thinking, don't threaten me with a good time.
I guess I look at those and I'd understand nothing about emojis. All I know is if he posts like an eggplant, everybody's gonna shit themselves.
No, it's not an emoji, John. It's a video. It's a university, marketing department produced video of about 8 seconds long that's zooming in on an old, digital alarm clock that looks like it's 30 years old, and it's got a little glitch on it that says 24 hours.
That's the one that sits in the stadium. Is it a big freaking clock?
No,
Giant?
it looks like it's something that would sit on your nightstand. I'm gonna send you the damn link. This is frustrating.
I don't know what you're talking about. All I know is Matt Rhule's been tweeting emojis, and I look at them and my brain fries, and I start saying things like, "Hey, these damn kids these days," and "Get off my lawn," and
I assure you, this is not an emoji. I don't want to pay taxes either, John, and I can help you minimize how much the government takes. It's all about proper financial.
Am I supposed to look at this right now?
Yes, because it's literally 8 seconds. And Vanessa's over here in the comments laughing at you, telling you to get with the times, and that you need a head explosion emoji. All right, does the alarm clock make sense?
Thanks for that. There's a lot of auto-tune involved. Another thing I absolutely love.
I didn't listen to the audio. I'm in the middle of recording a show, John. I don't. All right, you figure that out.
Oh,
jeez.
Fred. Wow. The clock is how long since Frost had his last drink? Yeah, that's probably
I mean,
true.
In all fairness, I was drinking a beer at the beginning of this show, so 'tis the season.
Were you gonna be too loaded to call some recruits? Maybe.
No.
That would be. Then you can't. You could be a coach, I guess, if you're in the right situation. Okay, we'll move on.
That's not a bad idea. All right, one last question, and it's regarding the radio, not the clock radio that we talked about that was, very confusing to you. But Blaine wants to know, who will be calling the games on the radio next season?
I thought it was announced it was going to be Damon Benning.
Yeah, I thought Damon Benning was taking the place of Matt Davidson.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
what I thought too.
Blaine is in Japan, so I imagine that it's very important to him. But my understanding is Damon Benning will be taking color over. We'll be doing color, and who is doing the play-by-play? Is it Sharp?
It should be Greg Sharp, right?
Yeah.
I think so.
Okay. So no changing then from the last few games of the season. All right.
As far as we know now.
One more final one, because I had to chuckle at this from Blaine. Now that it's been reinforced that he doesn't work for H&R Block, but he says at H&R, I don't know if it's a typo. He says H&R Brock. I'm gonna say H&R Block. We make money the old-fashioned way. We steal it. That's right. Just remember, as we roll into the new year, just know that the nice people at H&R Block are not actually licensed, certified professional accountants. So find one of them instead. H&R Block gets too much of your money.
Okay, Akelo?
Final thoughts. Oh, sorry, never mind. Bourne.
Machichek?
Yeah.
Prince Will?
Umamulin.
Just think of Romulan, John.
Okay. Machichek. Umamulin. What?
Machichek.
Because it's got to be like Machichek would be, I'm guessing Czech, Czechoslovakian.
I mean, Mahachko is Slovakian, so let's be very careful with the ground you're starting to tread on.
There's no negative connotations there. It's just how people's name.
I mean, I thought it was Polish.
Oh, it could be. They're all in the same kind of area.
Okay.
The same kind.
Don't be lumping me in with those Polacks.
Oh my God! We're all going to hell now. Blaine Cole, wait a minute. Blaine Cole says, "Is Scott Fuss drinking worse than Bo Schembechler?" Yes, because it's been 50 years or something. I mean, times have changed. People don't expect you to be you're the face of a program, and that program presents itself as as well in the state of Nebraska as a religion. And back in the old days, Bob Devaney could chase women. He could do whatever he wanted, and it was fine. And these days, you just don't get to do that shit. If you guys are out on YouTube, I'll give you an example of this that you can just bluntly see. Go out on YouTube and search for the Jerry Burns press conference that he did after a Vikings games. And you will find a guy who stands in front of reporters and says the F word, honest to God, probably 30 times. If an NFL coach did that today, we would all just shit ourselves. He'd be raked over the coals. They'd want to fine him. But it's also Jerry Burns. It has to be one of the most entertaining press conferences ever that you can see online. So my mistake. Blaine Cole says, my mistake. I was thinking of Schellenberger. Well, you know what? Schnellenberger's problems caught up with him at Oklahoma. You know what I mean? So you kind of laugh at that for a while, but when you're non-functional, you don't do your job anymore. It stops being funny, and that's really kind of where the line is. Now it's not acceptable, really. I mean, put it this way: in my past, I've been at work where a guy, literally an executive, sat in front of me. We had a short meeting. He reached down into his drawer, pulled out a big bottle of vodka, and looked at me and said, "Now we drink." And he was very serious. And you just don't do that anymore. That's just not something people are going to do at work. And so times have changed. Behavior is completely different than it used to be. Greg, you're muted.
I realize that. Before we get out of here, we are a couple days away from Christmas. Akelo,
Yeah.
do you have a favorite Christmas movie?
Friday after next.
Okay.
What is it?
That was not on my radar as Christmas movies go.
I mean, Ice Cube and Mike Epps. I mean, Santa came in and stole the rent money.
Noted. John?
A favorite Christmas movie?
And while you're thinking, because it might take you a minute because you've seen them all because you're 100 years old, people in the comments, Blaine says it's a wonderful recruiting class instead of it's a wonderful life.
I can tell you what my favorite Christmas movie moment is.
Okay.
It is the Patrick Stewart playing Scrooge, and when he first laughs for the first time in decades, Patrick Stewart plays that part so beautifully, where he's Scrooge and he finally tries to laugh, and it's something he hasn't done in so long that he has to choke it out of himself and suddenly feel joy. And I think Patrick Stewart, plays that part. So every time I see it, I cry. I'm gonna cry now. I am. I think it's just beautiful.
Owen.
I like the old classic. I like the old. Is it Christmas Carol? Is that the name of that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like those movies.
Owen says Die Hard, and I will contend. Look, this might be the most controversial thing I've ever said on the Five Heart podcast. I tend to stay away from controversial statements and get along with everybody, but Die Hard's not a Christmas movie, and I'll tell you why.
What the fuck?
It's merely a movie that takes place at Christmas.
It's all about trying to get home to your family. And then
Yeah.
I guess my other favorite one is the one with the Mighty Humble Bumble that I haven't seen for what is that?
The Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer?
Yeah. And Charlie wants to be a dentist, and Cornelius, whatever his fucking name is,
Yukon Cornelius.
Yeah, Yukon Cornelius.
And it's not Charlie, it's Hermie. Hermie wants to be a
Okay,
dentist.
Hermie, fucking Charlie, whatever.
I
And
mean,
then the
Hermie-
reindeer flying, and they're all stuck in jail. I relate to that movie. I relate to that animation so much.
Hermie fucking Charlie is a very different movie. Ron,
We know we're going too long, Greg.
Ron and Blaine asks, "Where's your bottle, John?" But Ron and Vanessa both say Home Alone. You know what? Vanessa includes The Grinch as well. Mine shifts depending on my current mood. So right now, I'm kind of feeling. I've actually heard that this is one of the more faithful adaptations of Charles Dickens' novel, A Christmas Carol, and y'all are gonna laugh, and that's okay. But it's the Muppet Christmas Carol.
Okay.
But you can also talk me into a good time with the Santa Claus with Tim Allen. A new one, if you have Apple TV or Apple Plus. Vanessa, come on now. No, nobody said anything about Hallmark Channel. But if you have Apple TV, Apple Plus, whatever it's called in your region, Will Ferrell and Ryan Reynolds with Spirited. It's a different take on A Christmas Carol. It's a lot of fun. It's a musical. I do warn people about that. But it's Will Ferrell and Ryan Reynolds, and how can you not get along with those two actors? Owen Walker says Scrooged. So regardless of what your favorite holiday movie is, whether it's Friday After Next or a 90s version of A Christmas Carol or any of the other several hundreds that are out there, take some time this weekend, unplug, find joy. Maybe it's with a bottle. As Blaine wants to know where John's is. Maybe it's with a Christmas movie. Hopefully it's with family, friends, loved ones that you can have some time, spend some time with this holiday season. And if you're not, if you're like one of our dutiful viewers or regulars who is out of the area and in Japan, we appreciate all of your service. If you're away from home, if that's keeping you from home, God bless y'all. Any final thoughts that you have heading out here, Akelo?
Nah, man. I'm just excited to see what these new kids do in Nebraska, man. I'm really excited to be back here on Five Hearts podcast, man. I've never been here. I feel like I've been down here in like a year, 2 years maybe.
Yeah,
well, it's because you left and then you came back.
Yeah. You know, I had to make a business decision. That's what the kids say nowadays.
Hey, that's okay.
I made a business decision. But, no, I came back, man. I'm really excited to be back on the podcast, man. I love what you guys do, man. It's great. Even when I wasn't like associated with Coronation SB Nation, I was still listening to the show, man. So I'm really excited to be back.
Oh, thank you.
We have slaughtered the fattened calf for the prodigal son. We welcome him home with open arms. John?
My check. I'm going to have to work on these things, man. I really am. Otherwise, I'm just going to have to come up with, I don't know, just really dumb nicknames. Do I have any final thoughts? I guess just thanks for supporting us, everybody that sticks around. Merry Christmas. I hope everybody has a Merry Christmas and everybody has a good holiday. And everybody, hopefully doesn't turn into the guy that ruins Christmas unless you do it on purpose and you really enjoy it.
and if you're going to do it on purpose, videotape it and send it to us so we can enjoy it too.
Yes.
So we will happily put your family humor out there on the Coronation channel. Okay, John, I thought he was going to follow up with that.
No, I was looking at this Blaine Cole thing. Everything in 2043. I'm going to be stuck on that. Okay.
The good news. Well, never mind. I'm not going to say. All right. For everybody at Coronation, everybody at SB Nation, who even the names I don't know, which I'll be honest is all of them. I don't know anybody higher than John, and then that's fine. That's where my buck particularly stops. For everybody at Coronation, for Akelo, for John, for myself, Greg Mahochko, we really do wish you all a very Merry Christmas. Be safe out there. Stay warm if you're in the devil's asshole, which is the Midwest right now. And we'll see you next week on the Five Heart Podcast, where we remind you each and every week that Five Heart is all the heart you need. John?
Go Big Red. Machichak.